at that top. Is that leather or what?
Wooden.
Come close to the mic.
There you go.
There you go. Shit.
My claim to fame is that I am a dope dad. And what makes me dope, not just any kind of dad, I am a girl dad. So 3 things you need to be a girl dad. First of all, you need children. That's the dad part. All right. The second thing, you need girls, all girls, right? And the third thing is that you have to relinquish any desire to ever have control of anything in your life from this point on. The other part of this, the juxtaposed position of this, is that being a parent means that you are in a constant state of disaster preparedness. Any parents in the room know what I'm talking about. It ranges from stopping your kids from putting a marble in their nose, to making sure that they eat the right things, to stopping a Bengal tiger from attacking them in Brooklyn, right? It's all together, right? And so this is the world that I live in, trying to control the world that I have no control over. And so my family and I, we go away for Christmas every year. Not a flex, but we just believe in trips, not gifts, right? Nobody gets any gifts. We go to a beach on Christmas Day every single year. And every single year, my older daughter says to me, "Dad, can we go jet skiing?" You know, we're on the beach and we see people out there living and frolicking upon the water, right? And I always say no, right? No, you're too small. No, you don't know how to swim. No, I don't want to be part of a holiday. Where did your kid end up in? And plus, I had gone jet skiing with my wife when she was my girlfriend, and the jet ski hit a wave, and we went flying, and my wife went somewhere else to the side, off the jet ski, and I am still wondering why that woman decided to marry me. And the last thing I was going to do was have her child end up in the same way in the Caribbean Ocean. So we're getting ready for our vacation, and my wife looks at me and she says, "Well, this seems like the time that you can finally take Clark on a jet ski." That's the name of my child, and it's intuitive, right? And she says, "Okay." Well, I'm like, "All right." I will gird my loins and finally take this child out on a motorized scooter in the middle of the Caribbean Sea. And so we get to the beach, and I say, "Hey, baby, well, let's do some water sports. Let's go over and do some water sports." And she goes, "Great, Dad. I want to do paddle boarding." You are pronouncing jet ski in the weirdest way that I have ever heard in my entire life. So we go over to where the water people are, and it's around the bend, and they asked me, they're like, "Hey, have you ever been paddleboarding?" And the answer is obviously no. And they go, "Great. Here is your giant fiberglass board and a paddle and no instructions." Now, we had seen people paddleboarding. We saw like there was an instructor and people learning how to do it. It didn't seem hard, but it also seemed like something that somebody should tell you how to do, right? So they gave us the paddle boards, they gave us the paddles, and they sent us on our way. And as we are pushing off into the ocean, they say, "By the way, do not drop the paddle. It sinks, and you will have to pay for it." Not the kind of instruction you want to give to somebody going off into this adventure. Anyway, so we start paddling, and I realize that this is far harder than it looks, right? The people who are doing it are making it look easy, probably because they have instructions, right? And so we're going over coral, and I'm paddling, and I'm like trying to get my kid to not paddle off into the ocean, and she's nervous, and I'm nervous, and I'm trying to get things going, and I'm like, all right, we finally got into a little bit of a calm water. There are buoys over here, and there are jet ski people over there, so we're good. I try to stand. I'm not a bright man, you know. So I try to stand, and that goes really badly. I fall off the board, and now I've lost my hat. And I'm swimming with one arm because this arm is holding onto the paddle for dear life because I don't want any extra charges on an already expensive paddleboard excursion. So I'm swimming like this with the paddle over here, and my daughter is paddling off into somewhere that, like, she's headed for Puerto Rico at this point. And I'm screaming at her, and the people on the dock are screaming at her, and I'm trying to, like, get back on. I'm drowning, actively drowning. Right? Like, nobody cares about the guy, the overweight, dad trying to save his own life. They're worried about the child who is safely on her own paddleboard, but is off to Guam, right? So eventually, the Coast Guard, lifeguard people are like, all right, I've had enough. Let me go save these people. And they come over with a boat, and they kind of like escort us back to where safety is, which is above a bunch of coral rocks. I'm like, you have a different definition of safety than I, right? And so we come back and we drop off our paddleboard, and I'm harried, and I've lost my hat. It's my favorite hat, right? And we come back, and everybody runs up and is like, oh my God, are you all right? To my daughter. I was drowning. Me. And in that moment, my wife, my other daughter, my mother-in-law all run over to my daughter to find out if she's all right. And then I realized that in that moment that my true claim to fame was that I was Brenda Greene's son, because my mom was the only person that came over and said, you lost your hat, didn't you?